Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Blue Lightning here, and today we're going to be talking about some big changes coming to Infinite Warfare. Yes, more big changes. Sometimes some of them are good, some of them are bad. Not many of us were fans of the Mark II variants, but now they're coming out with some new things. But I think these are actually going to better the game at the end of the day. But that honestly is my personal opinion. But let's go ahead and talk about these throughout the rest of this video while you guys enjoy some nice all or nothing gameplay in the background. So first of all, data miners basically figured out, looked at the code, found out some new things that are coming into the game, potentially, because the update that came out for Infinite Warfare was like 2.5 gigabytes big, and then the update that brought in the M16 and the Black Ops 3 was like a 1.8 gigabyte update, and the update that came out on this past Tuesday for Infinite Warfare was a little over 2 gigabytes. And the only thing that really came out with this update was like purely cosmetic things. They basically made Diamond Camo look like shit, by the way, in case you haven't seen that. So a lot of people are upset about the Diamond Camo, but they also brought out the combat records, which I guess is kind of cool. It's about time they came out, but I think some of the stats in that are actually flawed. They'll probably figure that out, give them a few months, you know, that because apparently that's what Infinity Ward needs. They just need a lot of time to figure things out. But now let's talk about what we were talking about with the data miners. So the data miners looked at the code and they found some things that were in the coding for the game, right? Like we were saying. Mainly, this information comes from PC gamers. Shout out to all the PC gamers out there that play Call of Duty, because you guys have a fuck ton worse stuff to deal with than we do on console. And you got hackers, aimbots, all that kind of stuff. And I know Infinity Ward doesn't treat you as well as they do console players. Keep doing what you're doing. Much love from the console players over here. So the big thing that's gonna change, coming out soon, is SCORESTREAK variants. So you guys already know, each gun has like a weapon variant. You've got common, rare, legendary, epics, maybe even 2 rares, 2 epics of a gun. You're getting killed by the MV4 Fallout all the fucking time, and you should see when it kills you, it's a purple gun at the bottom, and it's a legendary variant. If you don't know what gun variants are yet, you need to get with the program, because I don't know what you've been doing. Instead of gun variants, they're coming out with SCORESTREAK variants. Now these SCORESTREAK variants are basically just going to be a variant of a certain score streak. So now some of them that are going to be released, potentially more, but we think that these are going to be the only ones to start with. No one's exactly sure yet, but I'll flash them up on screen as we're talking about them, just kind of small, so you can keep watching the gameplay. But we're going to have rare, legendary, and epic variants of the UAV, the Scarab, the Scorchers, and the Warden. Those are the ones that we know so far. I found this link on Reddit, and I just want to give credit to Moose Juice Jr. That's the name of the guy that posted this to Reddit. So I'm giving credit to him because I haven't seen it anywhere else yet. And so yeah, I'm going to give credit to him. Thank you, Moose Juice. So now the first variant of the UAV that we have is the Charged UAV. All of these variants of the score streaks are going to require either salvage to craft, or you can get them in a supply drop. These pictures are awesome because they literally explain everything, and I think it's great. So the Charge UAV, it's going to cost 500 salvage to craft. It's still going to cost 500 points in-game that you need, so 5 kills in Team Deathmatch, or however many points in caps you need in Domination. Each of these have 2 separate traits. So the rare variant of the UAV is going to have increased duration and less health than normal. So it's going to be easier to shoot down, but it's going to last longer. So this may be pretty effective for people when you go into other games and people don't really shoot things down. Could work out well for you. Now the legendary variant, the armored UAV, it costs 1,000 salvage to craft, still only costs 500 points, but this UAV can take more damage, but it stays up for a shorter amount of time. Personally, I like my UAVs to stay up as long as they can, so with a decreased duration, I don't know if I'll be using this one too much. Now finally, the epic variant of the UAV is the optimized UAV, and this costs 2,000 salvage to craft. But as you can see, the points actually go up. So instead of 500 points for a UAV, you're going to need 625 points. I already thought 5 kills for a UAV was a bit much, considering most kill streak games, it's around 3 kills for a UAV. But I mean, you guys, I don't know. You let me know down in the comments below. Do you think 625 points is too much for a UAV? Do you think this one's going to be worth it? In return for that higher amount of points to get this kill streak, score streak, whatever you want to call it, trait 1, you get higher assist points. But then trait 2 is you're going to get increased point score as well. So it's basically going to increase your points overall throughout the game. Maybe it could help you stack up to get your counter UAV and then merc towards your advanced UAV so you can get that deatomizer that you're dreaming of getting at night. Still waiting to get mine. Now we're going to move on to the Scarabs. You have the rare variant of the Scarab, the Frostbite Scarab. Costs 500 salvage to craft, still 450 points. Now this is going to increase stun effects and also reduce damage. Not sure if I'm a huge fan of that. Reduced damage, a lot of people are running Blast Shield at the moment. Don't really think that's worth it, to be honest. Now the legendary variant of the Scarab is the Turbo Scarab. That's going to cost also 450 points, It's also going to cost 1,000 salvage to craft. Now the traits for this, you're going to have increased speed and decreased duration. I'm assuming you're not going to be able to use any of these score streak variants in pros, so that's completely out of the question anyways. But you're going to get increased speed with this legendary scarab, as well as a decreased duration. So I guess you can get across the map quicker, but like you have less time to do it. And honestly, if I am using the scarab, I don't make it go that far anyways. I see a guy, I hit R2 to detonate the scarab and kill the motherfucker that's standing right there. The end of story. Now finally, we've got the epic scarab. That sounds so weird. Epic scarab, the stealth scarab. This also costs 450 points. And it's going to cost 2,000 salvage to craft. So that's quite a bit of salvage. That's a legendary variant gun if you want one. Now, it also has another 2 traits, just like every other one in this list. Trait 1, you're going to have lower sound output. And trait 2, you're going to have decreased speed. But you're going to have a lower speed on your scarab, so it's not going to be able to go as far. And you're also going to have lower sound output, which actually is somewhat helpful. I think this one right here would be the most helpful scarab to have. Lower sound output. Scarabs are loud as fuck, and you guys know it. I know I can hear that thing coming from a mile away if it's coming from me, and I can tell, and I start running. So, lower sound output, that's going to make these things pretty stealthy, hence the name Stealth Scarab. So I'm not really sure if I'm looking forward to seeing that in multiplayer. Now we move on to the Scorchers, the rare variant of the Scorchers, the Precision Scorchers. They're going to cost 500 salvage to craft, cost 800 points in game. Their 2 traits are all planes are going to strike the same exact spot, and all the planes are going to come in at one time. So if you keep getting hit markers with your Scorchers, I think this will solve your problem. You're not going to get hit markers all the time now, and if you do, then that's pretty bullshit in my opinion. If you're having 3 planes hit the same spot, it should kill someone who's standing there. Now we have the Haste Scorchers, which are the legendary variant. Cost 1,000 salvage, 875 points in game. The 2 traits, you're going to have increased speed, so they're going to come in quicker and go over faster. And to compensate for this increased speed, it's also going to cost more points. 875 points, I mean, it's an extra kill. Is it worth it in my opinion? Potentially. We'll see how it works in game. Now finally, the Epic Scorchers, you have the Tactical Scorchers. Cost 2,000 salvage to craft, and these are 800 points. So they're less points than the legendary variant that you saw. The 2 traits, you get to choose a strike zone for each plane. So you get to pick 3 different lanes that you want to go down. And trait 2, planes no longer fly in formation. Honestly, I think this one is going to be a pain in the ass when it comes to online play, because the Scorchers, you know, they pick a big lane that they want to go down, and they go 1, 2, 3, and they go down the lanes. Now you can pick 3 separate lanes. I honestly think these Scorchers are going to demolish players online, especially for super open maps. A lot of maps like, I don't know, Crusher, Scorch, Throwback, Frontier. These maps are going to see an influx of these Epic Scorchers being called in due to the fact that they can basically cover the whole entire map. So if you're not inside, you're getting killed by these things. Now let's move on to the Warden, everyone's favorite kill streak. And that was a hint of sarcasm because I absolutely fucking hate the Warden when it gets called in against me. So now the rare Warden, here we go. Salvage craft, 500. Points, 1100, still the same. Traits 1 and 2, has additional flare and decreased duration. So this Warden, I mean, it's a little bit different. It's basically, it's like your typical rare variant of anything. It's a little bit better. I mean, it honestly depends if you want to use it. The one downside to this, honestly, is the decreased duration. If you do use the Warden, you want that thing to be out there as long as possible because it's already OP as shit. So a decreased duration, I don't think a lot of people are going to be using the Trophy Warden. Now we have the Energy Warden. This is going to cost 1,000 salvage to craft because it's a legendary, just like all the others. All the rares take 500, all the legendaries take 1,000 salvage to craft, and all the epics seem to take 2,000 salvage to craft. The Energy Warden is also going to cost 1,100 points in game, the usual amount for a Warden. Traits 1 and 2 are going to be as high energy based weapons and no longer has a rear turret. So it doesn't have the turret that'll just mow you down, but it does have high energy based weapons. Not entirely sure what that means. Potentially they shoot faster, they can shoot more targets at once. I think that's what that means, and if that's the case, that's going to be really annoying because I feel like I'm always getting killed by the guns on it more so than the turret, so people might be using that. And then finally we have the Fortress Warden, which costs 2,000 salvage to craft, who would have guessed, and then 1,100 points just like it regularly would in game. Now the traits for this has more armor and a slower speed, and trait 2 is front turret no longer functions. So this one right here is going to be a bitch, undoubtedly. This score streak variant is the one that people are going to kill for in game. They want this score streak variant. It has more armor, so it's going to take more shots to be shot down. Yeah, it moves slower, but hey, it has more armor. They're already a pain in the ass to shoot down. I think they take 3 shots from a Spartan, like a normal rocket launcher. But the only other downside with this one is the front turret no longer functions, so I honestly feel like the Fortress Warden's balanced out pretty fairly. But there you have it, guys. Those are all the potential score streak variants. Again, we don't know if these are going to be in the game until they are actually in the game. Yeah, again, shout out to Moose Juice Jr. for posting this on Reddit here for all of us to see. Really appreciate that. And then finally, just a quick thing, we do have 2 more epic variants coming into the game. I'll flash those up on screen real quick. One of them looks to be like a variant of the FHR, and the other one seems to be a variant of like the Type 2 potentially. And then finally, we do have a melee weapon coming into the game, and that is the axe. So they seem to have brought that from Raven the Redwoods into the multiplayer, and I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is the first melee weapon in Infinite Warfare. Not sure if we'll see more, but we'll see. But other than that, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Comment down below if you'd be okay with these changes to the SCORESTREAK variants. I know I'm actually okay with it, and I'm glad that they're going to be able to craft via salvage rather than just purchasing supply drops and hoping you get them. Personally, I'm okay with this, but let me know down in the comments below, like I said, what you think this is going to do to the game and how you feel about it. And finally, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button up there. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. With all that being said, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Blue Lightning, much love, peace.